You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News. It's been almost 2 decades since the last supersonic jets whisked passengers over the Atlantic at twice the speed of sound. British Airways and Air France retired their Concorde fleets back in 2003. But by the end of this decade, supersonic travel might be back and more affordable and environmentally friendly. From Chicago, NPR's David Schaefer reports.
Think about boarding a flight to New York in the morning and being in London in time for lunch, afternoon meetings, and even dinner. And then getting back home in time to
It's raining again.
That's Lake Shore's dream. So imagine New York to London in 3.5 hours. Imagine San Francisco.
Go figure.
Imagine Sydney being as accessible as Honolulu is today. Scholl is founder and CEO of Boom Supersonic, which is developing jets to fly at 1.7 times the speed of sound, about 1,300 miles an hour, twice as fast as today's commercial jets. And there's more. This is the first airliner designed from the ground up to run on 100% sustainable aviation fuel, which means the entire fleet is going to Scholl says technological advancements make this all possible. Remember, Concorde was designed with slide rules, and wind tunnels, and drafting paper, and today we've got carbon fiber composites and computer-aided design and optimization. We've got a whole new generation of engines that are quieter and significantly more fuel efficient. But this jet, called the Overture, is far from being cleared for takeoff. The United VP of Corporate Development, Mike Luskin, is to put the first Overture into service 8 years from now, in 2029.
It's really exciting, and we hope to cut travel time for our customers in half on a number of Atlantic routes initially, and I think longer term on some of the Pacific routes.
And Luskin says operating costs would be 75% lower than the outrageously expensive and gas-guzzling Concorde. So fares won't carry that jet's $10,000 price tag.
We expect to be able to bring it into profitable service at about the same price as business fares today.
And look, this is a bold move from United.
Henry Hardevelt is a travel industry analyst with Aspen Research, and he asks the multi-billion-dollar question: is there a market for supersonic air travel?
The airplane nerd in me says, yes, I can't wait to get on these things. But the analyst in me says, I'm not so sure.
Hardevelt says because this plane will be expensive to build, initial airfares will likely be much higher than United and Boom are suggesting. And he questions whether Boom can really deliver the plane that they're promising, as there isn't a prototype yet, and not even a jet engine.
Right now, Boom is the equivalent of a paper airplane. It's a dream. It's something that the people at Boom are working hard to turn into reality, but there are a lot of steps that they have to achieve before this plane takes to the air.
Oh, and about that name, Boom, Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update recently had some fun with it. So get ready to fly fast and cheap on the only airline named after the sound of an explosion. Boom CEO talks about that too, knowing that if his company can deliver on affordable.
Hey, Linda. I've got two brothers that I know. They flew on the Concorde a couple times, I think, and they also flew on the round-the-world trip that the Concorde did. There's definitely demand for it. I'm trying to head north. I'm always slow to get started. Of course, it's raining again. Just had crazy lightning and thunder and weather alerts all over the radio. Lightning again. Driving right into this mess. Yeah, it'll be interesting, but it's still like 10 years away, so that's a long time.
Batters have watched hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of pitches over their career, and they've all behaved a certain way. If you see it at a certain point doing something, it will likely end up in the place you expect it to end up. In this case, baseball is ending up in a different place. So the more complicated answer is that it makes the ball stick faster, which makes it move more, and that makes it much harder to hit.
Okay, and the balls that you're describing, some of them have so much sticky stuff that you could see a pitcher's fingerprints on them. Sometimes you can hear the actual rip when the pitcher releases the ball. What is this sticky stuff exactly?
Yeah, people are telling me crazy stories about you can touch your palm to a baseball and lift it just without gripping it. It's like so sticky. Exactly.
Oh, a lot of water there.
Kind of concoctions that players use. Some of them even brew their own.
Slippy.
There's some, they're sort of semi-legal. Everybody they want. When the baseball comes out of the package, it's very slick, and so it's hard to get a grip. So the league wants you to have some grip, or else you might hit a batter on the head because you don't know where the baseball's going. So there's a little bit of a sticky substance behind the mound called rosin, and they're allowed to use that. It starts, it's a slippery slope, right? First, they realize that if you use spray-on sunscreen, a lot of it on your arms, you can mix that with rosin, and it gets even stickier. So that's a little bit stickier than what's allowed, but it's not a huge deal. And then on the other end of that would be a substance called spider tack, which is basically glue that's supposed to help Ironmen lift stones, hold stones together. And that stuff is so sticky that usually you can't even, if you touch your fingers together when you have it on your hand, the fingers get glued together. You have to remove it with rubbing alcohol. It's crazy. It's really sticky stuff.
But the thing is, pitchers have been doctoring balls almost as long as baseball itself, right? Like, how is this problem different now than, say, the spitball, which I think has been around for, more than a century?
Yeah, well, basically the whole history of baseball is pitchers trying to doctor the baseball. The reason it's different now is that they have technology, and so they set up this device called a TrackMan that tracks what the baseball is doing. And you can apply sunscreen rosin, and you can throw, and you can look at the TrackMan and see how many times the baseball spun while it was on its way to the plate. And then you can apply something like spider tack, stickier stuff, and you can look at the TrackMan, and you can see just how much of a difference that made. And so guys can be much more scientific and much more in the way they're using it. Whereas in the past, you would kind of apply something and guess, and you weren't sure if it was helping. It was all based on the eye test. Now they can look at it and they have the data to tell them this is working.
Which leaves the question, what is Major League Baseball going to do to stop the spread of ball doctoring?
They intend, they say, to start cracking down on this soon. They've been actually collecting baseballs from every pitcher all season and looking at them to see how sticky they are. They've decided it is quite a lot.
Ooh,
so
lightning!
They say that in the next couple of weeks, they're going to start cracking down. They are going to empower umpires to go out there and say, hey, I think I see something on your hat. Get the hat out of here. And if you do it again, we're going to eject not just the hat, but also the player. Part of the problem right now is that usually they rely on the opposing manager to say, hey, can you go check that pitcher? But all the managers know that their players are doing it too. Yeah. So you don't really want to call out the other team because you know that they'll come and get you next.
Stephanie Apstein from Sports Illustrated, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Superhero fans will see one of the most anticipated streaming series from Marvel when Loki debuts tomorrow on Disney+. NPR TV critic Eric Diggins
says the show, starring Marvel's villainous God of Mischief, is a sly examination of a bad guy who may be considering how to be better.
Marvel's Loki kicks off by explaining something huge. How does a new superhero story center on a character who got killed at the beginning of 2018's blockbuster movie Avengers Infinity War? Well, it turns out bad guy Loki avoided that fate by slipping away from the Avengers in the past. The first episode of Loki replays scenes from Avengers Endgame to explain. But that little maneuver violates the laws of time, resulting in Loki's arrest by the Time Variance Authority. He winds up stuck in an office that looks like the universe's worst DMV branch.
Driving right into it. Flash flood warnings, high wind warnings. Oh, this is getting nasty. Okay. Yeah, I could say that too. My 65 Dodge Coronet. Oh my God, this is getting crazy. What's going on out here? Everybody's slowing way down. Oh. Well, I gotta say the people on this road drive a lot saner than the ones on Interstate 20 and some other places I've driven. Seem to be a little saner. Wow, we're coming to a stop almost. That's crazy. It must be bad up here. Well, that's good. Driving slow is better than... Yeah. I mean, in the last few weeks, I've driven in some pretty heavy rain. You know, some pretty crazy rain. Yep. And these last few storms is I haven't driven in rain that bad in Cleveland in a while. See, if it was snowing, everybody would have gotten off the road and I could drive fine. These people don't know what to do with that weather. Very heavy rain. Exactly, man. I be king down here. A lot of water on the road. And you know what's crazy? All the other storms I was in, nobody slowed down. Not like this. This this is 100% different. Oh, big thunder. That's why all those people crashed in Birmingham the other night. They didn't drive slow. They should know better. I mean, this is like slippy stuff here. So much water on the road. Oh. Going uphill. I've never driven this road, so no idea what it's like through here. Dodge City and Jasper, Alabama. At least most people are respected. Rest area. Well, the sky's lighter up ahead. Maybe that's a good sign. Oh, hey, Carrie. Oh, that was a lot of rain. Looks like more rain up ahead there. Yeah. Well, I got my fingernails trimmed at the last stop. always good to do a little maintenance.
Their appraisal, the number shocked them. $480,000.
We were expecting the place appraised for about $660.
That $660 is reflective of the comps out here in local business. We aren't pulling numbers out of the sky.
As a real estate agent, Don Robinson has seen the devaluing of Black homes and Black neighborhoods in Chicago, and with little recourse. The federal government and professional appraisal associations removed explicit race language in determining home values in the late 1970s, but a racialized lens still harms Black. Boston University. She co-published a national study last year comparing the appraised values of similar style homes in similar socioeconomic neighborhoods with racial demographics as the only difference.
Contemporary practices, not just our historical ones, are exacerbating and contributing to how we are further racializing spaces and actually valuing white spaces as more valuable despite being really similar.
In Chicago, the study found between 1980 and 2015, the gap in values between white neighborhoods and Black and Latinx increased more than sixfold. In 2015, the value of similar homes in the Chicago region was $324,000 more in white neighborhoods than in Black and Latinx areas. Elizabeth Culver Glenn also worked on the study. She's author of the new book, Race Brokers, Housing Markets and Segregation in 21st Century Urban America. She says since the inception of appraisals in the 1930s, appraisers considered neighborhoods desirable if they were homogeneous. White buyers are still considered the default.
The training materials that they're using teach them to define neighborhoods as homogeneous places. They teach them to draw boundaries around demographically similar areas.
The Appraisal Institute describes itself as the nation's largest professional association for the industry. It would not comment, but in an email says its principles, methodologies are grounded in fair economic. Jason O'Byrne is a Chicago real estate agent.
To the color of my skin to set these appraisers at ease.
A number of local groups are studying what can be done to change the appraisal industry, including Illinois Realtors. Don Robinson is on a task force that's collecting appraisal complaints.
Nashville, a couple hours away. Well, temperature came down about 4 degrees at least, maybe more, inside my car. All right. So it's 6 o'clock. Maybe get into Nashville around 8 if I don't do something else. I wish I was going to go over near Huntsville, but I don't know if it's worth to go over there to try to see anything at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. I need to get back. Can't make any money out here, it seems, right now. dark cloud behind me. Uh-oh. Thanks. I see something on one of my apps telling me about bad weather in Tennessee. Gotcha. Windy out here. Oh, I'm trying to look something up here. Some wild-looking clouds out there. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Trying to. Alright, so where are we at? Alright, let's keep moving. Alright. Oh, cool air feels good. north, still in Alabama. Asheville's next. Just trying to get home. Haven't been able to find any work out here. So, time to go back. Explored a little bit of Birmingham, and that's about it. Oh. Coming up on Decatur, Georgia. If I'd had time and money, but the time's wrong, I would go over to Huntsville to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Wow, you should see the clouds behind me. Wow. Some interesting, like national forest stuff around here, but not this time. Earth's largest space museum. Coming up. Too bad timing's wrong. Here we go again. Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge, the Tennessee River. It looks pretty full. Wow, big river, man. Park up here. Space and Rocket Center, exit 340. I should have come up here and done this. A lot of traffic just peeled off. Oh, we got flashing lights. Lots of them got an accident. Down, dude. Jesus. Looks like somebody's car had a fire. Firemen were there.
Kids, where we answer questions like, do dogs know their dogs? If you're curious about something, there's a good chance we have an episode about it. Listen at brainsone.org. Get the story firsthand with The Daily, hosted by Michael Barbaro and distributed by American Public Media.
It's The Daily with the New York Times here on Alabama Public Radio, a service of the University of Alabama. I'm Pat Duggan, Summit tonight for Stephen and Gold.
Support for Alabama Public Radio comes from our listeners and in part from these sponsors.
Townsend Honda, offering hybrid and electric vehicles for those who want to reduce their daily environmental impact and fuel expenses. All vehicles and powertrain warranty information available at townsendhonda.com. UA Business League at the University of Alabama's Culverhouse College of Business helps students develop professional skills and capabilities via a robust program of coursework and engagement opportunities. More at culverhouse.ua.edu. Pediatric rehabilitation at Children's of Alabama with advanced robotics therapies for traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, cerebral palsy, and other physical impairments. Information at children's.al.gov. The Daily is supported by XChair, maker of the X2 home office chair with dynamic variable lumbar support and 10 ergonomic adjustments. Listeners of The Daily get to the heart of the stories shaping the world, hosted by Michael Barbaro and produced by the New York Times. For more on today's episode, go to nytimes.com/thedaily.
Sabrina Terese spoke with our colleague Nicole Fulmer about why hackers are demanding exorbitant ransoms and holding hostage to vital segments of the American economy. Nicole, what is it about American companies in particular that made them so vulnerable to these ransomware attacks?
Well, it's a host of things, but I think it really just comes down to incentive models for businesses. I'm based in Silicon Valley, and operating MO here among big tech companies and startups is still very much Mark Zuckerberg's move fast and break things. Get your software to market before the competition, and you will win. And you can fix the bugs in your software and security glitches later. And at the same time, we've all bought into the Silicon Valley promise of a frictionless society. We have just been baking this buggy software into so many of our core industries, like gas, like meat, like our factory production, like hospitals. And we never stopped to think that maybe we were creating the world's ripest attack surface. And so these ransomware groups realized that they could hold up entire businesses hostage and not just charge them $100 or $200, but millions of dollars to get their data back. And you start seeing businesses, even police departments, be willing to pay these fines just to get their data back.
We are learning that Colonial Pipeline did pay a ransom, and the hackers had demanded about $5 million in cryptocurrency from the
Well, just in the past hour, NBC News has confirmed reports that Colonial Pipeline did pay nearly $5 million in ransom to those hackers.
Were you briefed on the fact that the company did pay the ransom?
I have no comment on that.
Is it legal to pay these groups? I mean, isn't paying them essentially making the problem worse?
Yeah, so it's not illegal. The FBI has come out and said, we really advise you not to pay these ransoms. But the reality on the ground is that when a company gets held hostage with this ransomware, oftentimes the cost of the ransom is still cheaper than the cost of rebuilding their systems and data from scratch. So there was actually a ransomware attack in Baltimore that was pretty bad a couple years ago. And the hackers were demanding something like $75,000 in Bitcoin to hand them their data back. Baltimore refused to pay, and ultimately the cost to rebuild all of those services that had been destroyed and held hostage in the ransomware attack was $18 million. And so over and over again, you see businesses and their insurers really calculate that they should just go ahead and pay the ransom because the ransom demand is still so much cheaper than the cost to rebuild.
Wow, that's amazing. $18 million versus $75,000. Yeah, that's a lesson I would take from that.
Right.
And who's getting all this money? Who are carrying out these attacks?
To make money. Usually these are people who are working out of offices, almost like startups, and they're holding these businesses hostage for ransom. But the more companies and victims that were willing to pay the ransoms, the more money they were getting, and these became pretty sophisticated enterprises. Some of them are making hundreds of millions of dollars just over the past year. Right now, the FBI says it's tracking about 100 different ransomware groups. Some of them
North, almost out of Alabama. A long drive back. Yeah, I'll probably try to stop in Nashville a little bit. Never done anything in Nashville that I would be interested in. The last time I would have been in Nashville would have been, Jesus, decades ago, and would have just been a stop. And I know I was in a seedy, rough part of town. That I do remember. That would have been 30, I don't know, long time ago. Maybe try to find some music at a club. Still got them boots? I think I still have my Fry boots from high school. I think it's time to get rid of them. Or are they vintage now? They're vintage, right? Love touch. Hello, Torch. Oh, at least we're done with some rain for a while, I hope. Lasted 20 years, yeah. Yeah, it's about 100 miles to Nashville. Basic training, there you go. I probably got some pretty old underwear, but I have been trying to get rid of some of that stuff. Wow, that's crazy. The way station is on the other side of the highway. I've never seen that. They have a bridge going over to the other side of the highway for the way station. It's different. Oh, maybe that wasn't it. That was something else. That was an exit. That was an exit. Watching all these signs all of a sudden. This road is long because 65 kind of winds around as it goes through Georgia. Alabama. State's like 340 miles long or something. We're at 355 on the highway.
This is Alabama Public Radio, a service of the University of Alabama.
WAPR Selma.
WQPR Muscle Shoals.
WHIL Mobile.
WUAL FM Tuscaloosa.
W223 BC. W264 AI Mason.
Alabama Public Radio.
From WHYY in Philadelphia, I'm Terry Gross. Unethical medical study similar to the Tuskegee experiment, immigration, class, and sexuality. That's a lot, but it all connects in the new memoir by Daisy Hernandez. Lives the product of Harris with Hernandez was terrified of our insects, but she overcame that fear to stand against them and even joined him on a hunt collecting the bugs for lab research. First News.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Spear. President Biden has ended negotiations with Senator Shelley Moore Capito on an infrastructure package. As NPR's Barbara Smart reports, that shifts the administration's chief domestic priority into a new phase.
After weeks of talks, the pair ultimately was at an impasse over how to pay for the bill and its ultimate price tag. The West Virginia Republican said in a statement she was disappointed by Biden's decision to end negotiations, saying a group of GOP senators had offered a $1 trillion package to the president. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said while Biden was grateful for their good faith conversations, he was disappointed that Republicans didn't increase their proposal by a more significant margin. Biden is working with a bipartisan group of senators
Hey,
to
Jazzy.
find an alternative path to coming up with a compromise plan. Psaki's
Is that where you live? I don't know if I ever noticed where you live. You need to go hang out with Carrie sometime on Vancouver Island. Right. Yeah, we've had lots of rain here today. It was pretty torrential earlier. Traffic was down to 30 miles an hour. Pretty torrential. Now we got lots of trucks to deal with. Wow, the thermometer in my car got back into the 70s. Remarkable. Oh, look at it. There's a big rocket. Too bad we couldn't get over to Huntsville. I didn't think about it enough. But today wouldn't have been a good day probably with all this rain. That rocket is at the Welcome Center rest area coming into Alabama on the other side. So I guess we're getting close to Tennessee here. We're getting into some hills and twists here. Oh yeah. Twisty, turny here. Tennessee welcomes you. This is a pretty populated corridor compared to like West Virginia or Virginia. Those areas are just tough. So mountainous, just not a lot of cell towers, population. Let's see if we can stop at the rest area and get a map. I missed getting 2 state maps already. I should have got. Where's the exit? Right there. Place. I guess I didn't park too good, but I don't care. Bad weather, yeah. It's a cute rest area. Tennessee AMVETS dedicates this memorial to all veterans, living or deceased, who have served their country. This looks like a pretty new rest area. Interesting design, kind of traditional looking for Tennessee, stone and logs. Yep. Very cool. It's a good little rest area. Rest area designs are always interesting at different states. There's that guy out there. He's the rest area architect. They got little picnic areas. They got some solar power, some solar cells over there. This is cute. Got a nice little walkway here. I think that was fenced in actually, so like maybe a doggy play park. They got a maintenance building. Got a building over there with a dock. You know, because a lot of these places are sort of isolated, so they have their own water systems, their own septic systems. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool. It's definitely a part of travel, you know. Oh, they got this interesting piece of sculpture here. And this walkway just ends. This big piece of steel sculpture here. It's like a broken weather vane is what it looks like. It looks like an old, sort of a weather vane or something. Interesting. Chunk of steel. Big chunks of steel. I mean, big chunks of steel. Let's see how thick it is. 1.5 inches or better. Big chunks of steel up there. It's very different. Oh. This place is very nice. I'd say it's pretty new. Hi. Good to stretch the legs, huh? Yeah, we gotta stretch out a little bit. Yep. And get a map. Gotta get the state map. Yeah. Feels good. Air temperature really came down with that rain. It was so blistering hot down there. I'm just not used to it. Wouldn't be too bad if I had air conditioning. Civil War in Tennessee. Hood Campaign of 1864. Tennessee Civil War trails. General John Bell Hood. Oh, he looks like an ornery cuss, huh? And then we got General John M. Schofield. Yeah, it's called Specific History. The Battle of Field of Franklin, Tennessee. Middle Tennessee experienced small-scale battles and engagements throughout the war. Many occurred along present-day I-65. At Elkton, exit 6. So they got a whole map here. We are here at the bottom. And the map goes up as far as Nashville. And I'm assuming these stars, all these stars are, battles and things important in the Civil War. Federal forces controlled the Elk River Bridge and protected the Prospect Railroad Bridge with a fort. Pulaski, exit 14, and Columbia, exit 46, were major Union command centers. Fighting intensified in September 1864 when General Nathan Bedford Forrest cavalry passed through here to attack a Union post in Athens, Alabama, which we just went through. He then returned, engaged federal forces outside Pulaski, and destroyed a camp of escaped slaves near the town. Lovely. Less than 2 months later, Confederate General John Bell Hood invaded. This is a nice rest area. When was this built?
11 years ago.
11 years. Guys, it looks brand new.
Yeah.
It's very. This is 11 years old. Less than 2 months later, Confederate General John Bell Hood invaded Middle Tennessee, intending to capture Nashville, and then advance through Kentucky and across the Ohio River. Union General John M. Schofield maneuvered from Pulaski to Columbia. So here's Pulaski, and there's Columbia up here a little more. Briefly engaged Hood and then escaped at Spring Hill, exit 53, to fortified positions at Franklin, exit 65. There on November 30th, 1864, Hood suffered more than 6,000 casualties. Holy crap. In a futile frontal assault that failed to break the Union line. The Federals next defeated Hood at Nashville, exit 80, in mid-December, virtually eliminating his army as a fighting force. Follow the Red Bugle to more than 1,500 sites across 6 states. Stand in the footsteps and hear the personal stories of the men and women involved in our nation's greatest conflict. Yeah, pretty cool. So that's the Red Bugle thing I guess they're talking about. CivilWarTrails.org. Yep. Hey, Linda, didn't say anything about Lee. Sure. It won't. Do you think I get weird looks if I asked people about that down here? I might get shown the door. There's some nice architecture they did here. Landscape architecture. The way they laid this out. Got some mountain music playing on the speakers, sounds like. Some beautiful flowers, wildflowers down there.
All right, there's the map. Lots of tourist gewgaw info. We could sit in a rocking chair for a little bit. This is really nice. Oh, look at this. Tennessee Civil War. Wow. The American Civil War in Tennessee. 66,000 Confederates and 58,000 Federal soldiers were killed or wounded on the Tennessee battlefields. Wow. The Confederates' last gasp in Tennessee. There he is again, General John Bell Hood and General John Schofield, who took him out. That was the big battle, apparently. Look at this mural here. Pretty brutal war, man. Like fighting with sticks and clubs, basically. It's an interesting mural. Okay, it does show a couple. And it shows two blue coats, two gray coats on the ground, wounded or dead. You know what? I haven't seen one of these really down here, I don't think. Yeah, well, they won't even bring. There's been a lot of stuff on the radio lately about the black troops. Yeah, and these people, most people in these areas won't even talk about that stuff, I don't think. You know. Nope. You know, selective history. Trouble is, most history is written by the sort of victor, so they write it their way. Yep. I might get to come back down here. My friend does a bunch of work on some homes in Sevierville, Mr. Conway, so I might get to come down with him to do some of that work. Governor Bill Lee. Yeah, that's fine with me. Nice space here.
Well, thank you. Make yourself at home.
This is something I've never seen. A solitary bee box. Never heard this. I've never seen such a thing. A solitary bee box. Interesting. I've never seen this talked about. That's cool. Plants for pollinators. Really, one of these? I've never. I mean, I follow some bee people on. I think it's on Facebook, and I've never seen anything like this. Interesting. Tennessee Welcome Centers. I always love these kind of mileage charts. I love these type of mileage charts. I miss those from Real Maps. Real Maps. Tennessee is a state that really does interest me a lot. Just haven't never done anything in it. Too bad I never went and visited the old girlfriend. She was living down here. Where the heck was she at? For a bunch of years as a doctor. Where the heck was that? Can't remember the name. Where the heck was that? Somewhere in here. East Lorraine. Where the heck did she live here? I forget. I thought it was down along here somewhere. Can't remember. I'd have to Google it. All right. I'll be right back, folks. Stay with the station. Everybody still here?
Bye, have a good night.
You too. What kind of crackers are those?
Chicken and a biscuit.
Never heard of such a thing. It's got to be a southern thing.
I guess, I don't know.
Let me show that on my... Yeah, I'm
Where are you
from Cleveland, Ohio.
They don't have them there?
I've never heard of this, no. What company? Nabisco. Okay. I'll have to look for it. What do they taste like? Chicken and a... Have a good one.
Salty like crackers.
Salty cracker, okay. It's a pretty rest area. Rest areas are always interesting state to state because they're all different, you know, how they design them, you know. See, you got that big like wildflower field down there. Do they grow wildflowers? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Cool.
That plaque right there tells you all the flowers that are.
Okay. Thank you. They got a whole thing here about pollinators. Honeybees can travel up to 4 miles from their hive in search of nectar pollen. At your feet is a small ornamental pollinator garden that you could plant at home. National Pollinator Week. June. Across the parking lot, you can see the Tennessee Department of Transportation Welcome Center Pollinator Meadow, which is what I showed you down there. Building pollinator meadows at rest areas across the state. And these are some of the plants. This is cool. Very cool. Yeah, down there is their big pollinator garden. Meadow, sorry, the pollinator meadow. That's cool. We could go walk around it. I think that might be butterflies, now that you say something. I don't know, maybe bees. I don't know about bees. I think that might be... There's no water here visible. It's really pretty over there. Let's take a walk. If I don't slide down the hill. Walk across the rocks without breaking a leg. Woo. It's rocky. It's rocky. It's a well-designed drainage swale that then comes down here into bigger rocks with tall grasses to help mitigate the drainage. Very cool.